Dr. Stone, Season 3, New World, as it's called.
Are we going to be talking about the Ryusui thing?
No, because it came out a year ago, but I do have to emphasize, if you're...
Watch the Ryusui thing.
Yeah, I think you'll figure it out
literally
pretty quick.
plot heavy.
Well, this is like the first image of Season 3. Is these Senku, Chrome, and Ryusei descending in this balloon, and if for some reason...
Ryusei. I don't know why I think it's Ryusui.
If for some reason you are watching this video and you are not caught up on Dr. Stone, this part of the video, Ryusei is introduced in a 54-minute
It's like the tale of Ryusei or something.
Yeah, it's literally just called Ryusei OVA, and like... It's a really good OVA. It's probably my favorite single episode of Dr. Stone.
I would agree with that.
And it introduces this character and his whole thing. He brings economy into Dr. Stone. He really begins what I would consider the Log Horizon arc of Dr. Stone.
So basically, they bring this guy back to life because he's one of the best ship captains that were alive during the time. A couple...
Not just one of the best, but the only one who knows old vessels because of a personal obsession with them.
And so... My only problem with this character is his only sign of having been petrified is like a weird blue thing on his fingers where everyone else's is black. And I just like some explanation to that. Are there going to be other colors? I don't know. And then, there's the whole he was a rich guy, he wants to own everything. So he introduces money and capitalism and all that. But ultimately, not in like a... We'll learn later. Not in like a devious way necessarily.
No. Ryusei is really great. The OVA is really fun. This picks up immediately where it left off. If you were to try to watch this without having seen that, you'll have no idea what's going on. And we're going to assume that you are caught up on Dr. Stone.
Which is to say, for anyone who has not seen Dr. Stone or the movie, spoiler alert,
we recommend it. It's good.
Alert. This is your chance. Get away.
Let's talk about what's happened in the last 4 weeks of it. So
I was excited because I had independently watched most of Season 2 and the Ryusui movie without B, just because I don't know, something happened. She didn't have time, but I really like it, and so I'm excited to pick back up.
So
here,
that OVA made Yuzuriha one of my favorite characters in the show.
She has always been one of my favorite. Yuzuriha and Taiju have. I mean, they're one of the They're the OGs. Yeah. They're the three that were awakened with Senju.
She really got to be a badass in that OVA. I'm glad to have her around. We got Gen Suika here.
The whole sewing thing, right? How fast she can sew things? Yeah.
So they go to the village, and immediately Ryusui's like, oh, all they've been eating is fish? This is not...
I cannot eat only fish.
I'm not living this way. We're going to do something about this.
Well, he doesn't immediately jump to, I'm not living this way. He goes, Senku, how long are we going to be here?
Yeah.
And Senku goes, 1 to 2 years. And then he has a little mental breakdown. This is Kohaku, the lioness.
She's got really good eyesight. So they're like, scope out from the skies for us. And she's like, this is terrifying.
It's not really explained. If you haven't seen Dr. Stone, you shouldn't be watching this. But just as a little explanation, it's not really explained why Kohaku and her whole tribe exist necessarily. But she and her family and everyone are the primitive humans that have existed throughout the petrification that the rest of the modern world went through. And that's why she has such good eyesight. She's lived in the wild her whole life.
Fair enough.
That's mostly to explain why she has... we're doing Minecraft. Yes.
They finally admitted that Dr. Stone is just Minecraft and started putting whole-ass Minecraft levels into Dr. Stone. I appreciate it. They did this graphical joke a few times so far this season. Just acknowledging. Yes, this is literally Minecraft, the anime. They start gathering their sky data. They immediately learn about where to find more animals, better animals, don't have to eat fish all the time. This is really the segment where Dr. Stone starts making like rapid technological advancement.
Which, technological advancement begets better technological advancement.
Every time you invent something, you're actually inventing like 10 different things that thing can become. So this show is in that kind of segment of like, all right, we just keep having stuff that makes other stuff possible. So now they're going to start growing their own food and becoming agricultural so that they don't ever have hunger issues. Also, Yuzuriha makes this really adorable hat, like just a regular cowboy hat, hands it to Gen, and he immediately goes, "Oh, this must be the crown for the Farmer King, like how Senku's the Science King and Ryusei is the Sky King." To inspire all of the big guys to work a lot harder so that they can
get the hat.
King.
Who gets Taiju gets the hat, right?
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Taiju is best
boy because he says, "I'm gonna make a mountain of food and revive the entire world." Because his parents are dead, he cannot bring them back, and
they're dead for real.
Yeah, they're dead.
Like they died before the petrification.
I think so.
Okay.
He's just accepted that they're not going to come back or something. I don't know. But, yeah. He also thought because Senku told him it was a good idea, he crushed and spread some shells around. He doesn't really know what it does.
Fertilization.
He just knows that it works. And he's right.
It's like when you have bone fragments or bone meal in Minecraft and it grows trees really quick.
This shot is so fucking adorable.
It is. I love this show.
Top tier waifu moment right there.
I will say... I wish between the seasons, So at the beginning of every Dr. Stone episode, they have a title card and it plays like. Yeah. I wish they changed that every now and then.
That would be nice.
I like it. It's fun, but and also, this is a very small criticism because the show is very good. Fit the music better, please. Just like, we don't need rock and roll sequences for very mundane tasks.
I love the music in this show, but yeah, it's so
at
over
times
the top
it's
and
just
overkill.
Ridiculous.
Because usually what they're doing is like weaving a basket, and it's like down, 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 just like epic shit.
I guess for me it's an issue of power scaling.
Yeah,
like
you have no way to communicate.
What are they gonna? Like, I guess to put it very frankly. What are they going to play when inevitably Senku creates a nuclear reactor?
Yeah. It's going to be the same thing you've heard every time.
I want to hear Rammstein.
That'd be fun.
That'd be great, but it's not going to happen. This show's great. I'm very happy with it.
They tried to make
the bread. Oh, God. Oh, the bread.
So
God. So, Senku's a scientist, not a cook. And so, our man... Ryusui is like I know bad people who have revival fluid, and so they contact, and immediately, of course, you want to think, oh, him. He's the one who's been hoarding revival fluid.
No.
But actually, it's the reporter who was working...
the news girl, he's like, hey, she had access to the fluid. I guarantee you she still has
Well, it's not
some.
that she necessarily had access. She was just the person who chose who was getting revived because she's a journalist. She worked for the Tsukasa Empire. But anyway, so... they're on the phone with her. They're like, we know you have revival fluid. How do we get you to give it to us? And then Gen is like, give me the phone.
Yeah.
And then Gen goes,
yeah, he's like, oh, Senku, you're making what? And they're like, Senku didn't say anything. Uh-oh.
And then, they get the revival fluid. So they bring back Francois, who is... a they-them. I mean, and it's... I don't know that Francois is willingly a they-them. It's just that... and
the non-binary chef.
Well, this is a quote from Ryusui. I just didn't take... I mean, it's not a direct quote, but pretty much verbatim. I just didn't take the time to learn what gender they were because they're so good at their job. Yeah.
I don't think Francois cares what gender they are.
I mean... As a guess, I would say Francois is probably a woman.
I mean, just going by the voice acting and the hair and the hips, the hip to waist ratio definitely is a little feminine. But
it's mostly the facial structure and the way they draw the lips, I would say.
There's definitely a lot of intentional ambiguity there. She's androgynous.
And I do think that's right. They are androgynous.
The show never really answers the question or cares to... But yeah, I think it's... I mean, once again, I get to talk about trans stuff on this, but I think this is a perfect way to handle
it's a
non-binary representation. It's just like, hey, look, I don't know that bitch's gender.
I think this has fortunately been a great season for us to get back into anime, because, I mean...
because it's getting gay.
Well, because anime's getting... Or, not anime, rather, I'm sorry. Japan, in a little way, is getting more accepting of these kinds of things, which means it'll be a little easier for us to go visit there.
I would hope so.
I don't know. That's the problem with international travel for I mean, a lot of places. The way I look at it, it's just like, well, where can we go that I and my wife are not going to be beaten or killed?
Yeah.
And I know that's an exaggeration.
Francois immediately walks again 2 whole days.
Oh, right. So they revive Francois. So they are... they show a map later. You probably didn't get a screen cap of it, but... the cave is where the real Kingdom of Science home base is, and so they walk all the way back to Ishigami Village, which is more comfortable apparently as a boat ride, they tell us later. But basically, Gen's just like, I can't let this woman walk on her own. How's she gonna get there? Or I can't let this they-in walk on their own. How are they gonna get there? How are they gonna get there? And so... I'm sorry. I don't... What is this they? What is the correct...
This person.
Person, okay.
This they. It's really funny.
I apologize for any insensitivity I may have implied. But, anyway, so Gen's just like, well, I can't let you get killed by something. So I have to... And you don't know where you're going, so I'm gonna follow you. And then they walk for, is it 2 days?
That's what he said.
2 days, okay. I had just seen days nonstop, and I was like, oh, fuck, really? So they walk for 2 days nonstop, then they immediately show up and go, hey, show me the bread you made last time.
Yeah.
And they are very disappointed. So, interestingly enough, I really like the contrast between Senku's, like, home skills and science skills. He has built incredibly efficient ovens.
Yeah.
They are perfect. You know, if, God forbid, if I was living in a forbidden or a primitive world, that'd be awesome to just have that fucking thing. That would last forever. So now, Ukyo, we're here now. He was a former member of the Tsukasa Empire, which was, you know, the main enemy of the first arc, pretty much. And he was a former sonar operator. He has really good hearing, and he's an archer.
Swan Cookie in the chat pointed out the villagers loved that burned bread.
They did. That I did enjoy that thing. Because I mean, it's so crunchy, but it was such a
For them, it's just something they've never eaten before. So they're like, yeah, whatever. The modern people are like, this is disgusting.
Exactly. The whole time that sequence was going on, it was like, I've had slightly burned bread before.
Yeah. It can be rough.
But, you know, if it comes down to, I guess, calorie intake, guess you gotta do it. I mean... It's part of what I like about the show so much is what would you do in this situation? How would you survive? And thank God Senku exists.
Yeah.
But yeah, I explained Ukyo, sonar operator, good hearing.
Yeah, this is where the show really starts to remind me of Log Horizon, which I realize you haven't watched, so I'll be brief about it.
It's coming for me. I don't want it to happen again. Please, just say we're gonna watch it. Just say we're gonna watch it.
We're gonna watch it. Oh, we punched ourselves in the face. Log Horizon, I've talked about it a lot on this channel, but early on, it's a show about characters who get sent into a video game world, and when they first get there,
that is what I thought it was about. Okay.
Yeah, when they first get there, they're sort of doing everything through menus like they would have when they, were playing it as a game. But what they eventually find out is that, like, if you make food through a menu, for instance, it has no flavor. If you actually prepare it from real ingredients, it will have flavor. Once they find this out, they are able to create flavorful food, and it immediately...
It's so much better than Sword Art Online stupid thing.
Yeah. It immediately creates an entire in-game economy, because basically the problem in Log Horizon is they...
like in real life. People went from eating burned bread to like, oh wait, you can make food taste good.
Well, and importantly, in Log Horizon, people can't die. So there's nothing really...
What do you mean by that?
They're adventurers. They have the same abilities they did when they were playing video game. They just resurrected the church.
Are they just playing a video game, or...?
No, they're living in it, but, they're trapped there. So, like...
Okay.
there is consequences for death, but you learn about that later.
You know, actions has consequences.
But basically, because of the fact that, you know, death is not a concerning factor, it's all about quality of life. How do we create quality of life inside of this world? And the first step towards that is, you know, good food. And as soon as they have that, everything else kind of starts
morale changes. It gets better, yeah.
So this moment, very similar, where Ukyo's like, this is the first proper modern food I've had in thousands of years. It's deeply meaningful to all of them. You know, it's just... It's like, wow, what new heights could we reach now that we already have gotten to this level, you know?
Well, and, you know, I suck cocks, but Ukyo didn't get to try the ramen that Senku made to win over all the villagers. So, you know, if he had just chosen the right side at the very beginning...
Well, and that wasn't proper modern food either. This is proper
I would say it's as close to proper modern food as...
No, that shit was made of millet and it was not good, remember? Like Senku thought it was disgusting. Everybody else thought it was good because they'd never had anything like it before. But it was made of, like, green shit. And he...
I know, wasn't that fun? I like the green
Well,
noodles.
you know, you want it to be green, but for the right reasons. Not because it's made of, whatever the hell.
I want to make pasta.
Pasta!
Like at home. Anyway.
Oh my god.
Oh right, we're at Steam Gorilla V2, which is with I think an extra added cylinder, so it can go over hills. And the journalist is bringing us here with the master craftsman, who, if you remember from the fashion show last season, question mark?
It was in the Ryusei special.
Ryusei special.
They had an awesome
because the whole economy was introduced, and so what's her name?
Yuzuriha
built a whole fashion empire just because she can build clothes so quickly. And so now the craftsman, instead of being in his, you know, I mean, he's still in his craftsman clothes.
Again.
But he likes to...
For now, he's turning up...
He rocks around in his cool outfit.
In his badass ride with a bad bitch on the side, in the sunglasses with the blonde hair, as he's in his dark tuxedo asking...
You know, for the next emotional anime raps, you've got to put a verse in about this guy.
About Kaseki, yeah. This is the coolest old man
He's the best.
Possibly ever.
He is probably my favorite character in this show. Because Tsukasa's on ice or whatever.
As soon as he finds out what he is wanted for here, he explodes out of those clothes.
Every time he finds out what he is wanted for, anytime he is summoned, he explodes out of his clothes.
So, yeah, he exploded out of his clothes and went back to his normal clothes because, you know, that's what he does. What a great guy.
And then they create a mirror.
As soon as this happened, I was like, I know where this is going.
Well, and I knew where it was going the whole time.
Oh, yeah?
Because right before all of this, the news reporter goes, something work tool. And I go...
Oh, did she say that?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
And I go, oh, camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, duh. But because it goes mirror required first... It kind of does a little throw-off thing of like, oh, she just wanted a mirror because she's so vain.
Yeah, she's so hot. She must need a mirror.
And then Senku's like, no.
She's like, well, I appreciate the mirror, but that's not what I'm about. Make me a camera. Pretty cool.
And here is where, well, not quite
This is
yet.
the only thing this season that made me actually
This is adorable. It's quite cute. I mean, we'll get to, I think, the thing you're talking about, but let's...
Well, it's literally this moment.
Her getting the camera. It is so
Senku
sweet.
Senku hands her a camera. She remembers her entire life of, like, growing up with cameras.
She gets a camera when she was, like, a little girl, and then she uses that until she's,
all the
like,
way
a teenager.
Through college, she
gets a new camera, and then she's working...
She turned to stone, and the camera fell from her hand while she's turning to stone, so she lost her camera.
And I remember my reaction to that scene was, well, you know, if you really cared about that camera, you'd be gripping it tighter, and potentially it could have survived.
Yeah. Well,
but, you know,
But it's not... It's not that she grew up with cameras, that she cares about cameras. None of that's what got me. It's what she says right after this. She says, I promise I'll use this one shot to create a chronicle of humanity rebuilding. And I was like, of course, you know, she's a real journalist. What would a journalist possibly want
that was
to,
the thing.
This is the ultimate scoop.
Up until this little arc of her character, because up until this point, we've only seen her in the Tsukasa Emperor being kind of a vain, you know, journalist person. And so I thought journalist meant news reporter, like personality. And then we got her whole backstory and everything, and it's like, oh, no. She's Tom Hammerschmidt from House of Cards. She's actually trying to expose things and actually detail the truth. That's a deep cut, I'm sorry.
Journalist. Yeah, well, so she's like, this one shot that you've given me, so precious.
She is not throwing away her shot.
No, neither is Senku throwing away his 27, his infinite amount, his 10 billion.
Oh, right, and that's the other thing. Senku just rolls up with, like, 18 other cameras and goes, hey, I know I said I would build this for you, but actually, here's the real reason.
It turns out I had a good
It's for
reason.
aerial surveillance, and right here is where I begin to have a problem with the science presented in Dr. Stone.
Alright, hold, before you start having problems with it, remember that Ryusei is like, I'm going to build an exhibit at my museum about you.
No, that's wonderful. I know where we're about to go. I'm just documenting where my problem with it all begins.
Yeah,
this is beautiful.
I got you.
This is a sweet moment.
He's like, look, if you're going to take a picture of something, take a picture of Senku. He's the important man.
He's the one who's rebuilding society. Yeah. And, there's a whole moment where Ryusui has this, and then someone, or Francois talking to someone, and he goes... Or they go, you think Ryusui just wants all this greed? He has all this greed for himself? No, that would be too short-sighted. His greed is too expansive. Yeah. He wants the glory for all of the people around him so that he can bask in that as well.
Yep.
It's a sweet little speech. But anyway.
He's a great, Washington type, George.
Found... Okay, good. Where did you find this? The full one's not shown in the episode.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, well, then I missed it. No, this is great.
Yeah, Senku does
He's doing the Albert Einstein thing.
At the journalist's suggestion. So then we get to episode 3, and now they're taking aerial photography. Really cool effect they did here.
And welcome to my problem with this
they address the issue. They address it. They
address it incredibly briefly and non-consequentially.
Look, do we think that these cameras could take even a remotely reasonably usable for any purpose whatsoever photo from that blimp? Probably not.
Not at all. Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. They can call it blurry all they want. This is some...
for reference, for anyone who's curious, the type of camera is a daguerreotype. He mentions that in the show.
But all they really want...
hang on, real quick. For those of us watching the VOD or the stream, those blue fingers...
Yeah.
That's the sign that he was preserved. Senku has the weird lines on his face, but they're black. Everyone else's are black. Why are his blue? Ocean?
Ocean man.
He is a fucking ocean man.
Alright, well, they're after the oil. That's all they want is the oil. The aerial photos happens to be great for overwintering prep as well. So
because they find out where boars are and stuff like that. So Francois puts together like a boar and truffle menu. But Suika makes friends with a boar, and the boar is not killed because...
Not there yet.
So Suika... she just found all the boars. Look at all the baby boars. Yeah. Oh, look at all the baby boars. Oh.
They find some boars that they're going to help them find the black... So I don't know why I'm so stupid that it wasn't until I was rewatching this episode that I realized the parallel of black gold and black gold that they were doing, because it's the oil is black gold and the truffles are black gold.
Yeah.
They're both things that are called black gold. How did I not put this together?
Speaking of which, why don't we have a person of color in Dr. Stone yet?
Well, they're all in Japan.
Look.
They just gotta leave. I mean, they're about to leave Japan. They're going to South America, so they're gonna start meeting some people of color, I assume.
Yasuke existed.
Okay, that was a long time ago.
And after that, I assume more African American or African Japanese
your
people.
Concern has been addressed. Senku says there's no way you're seeing mushrooms in that blurry ass photo.
I don't think that has anything to do with any race. What do you mean by that?
Kohaku's like, that sure looks like the black jewel to me.
That's oil.
Up to the surface, yeah. Well,
Well, and she thinks it's truffles at first, also.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's silly. She doesn't understand how.
Oh, I didn't even know they took a baby pig out. Look at this baby pig.
Well, this is the baby pig they've got out looking for truffles. fun fact, this Francois says, you know, a secret, or rather, an open secret with chefs is that, like, you can use a boar to track for truffles.
Well, and you've been knowing that for a while.
As soon as... What?
Everyone's known that, you know, they like to eat them.
Why would I know this? Yeah, well, you said, like, oh, yeah, they like to eat them, so that's why they don't use it. And then, like,
and then
seconds later...
As soon as the boar finds the truffle, it's like, oh, wow, look. And it's a literal internal dialogue that the boar is having. Oh, wow, look, I found this. What a nice treat for me. And then it eats it.
Yep.
And then Suika's dog takes over. This is obviously the mortified faces of Francois and Suika after the boar has eaten the truffles. But Suika's dog takes over. And the boar, you know, the boar's just a friendly character. We love the boar.
Meanwhile, this other boar that they were going to cut up to make food out of...
We're not there yet.
Well, we are. They were about to cut it up and make food out of it, and then they realized that this is a boar that had been in contact with oil at some point.
I see.
Had therefore smelled oil.
And so they let it free to find the oil, so it could wallow in the mud oil.
And as they're running with it, Suika's already named it and befriended it, and, you know... So they're like, are you going to eat this boar now that it found the oil? And Francois is like, it smells of oil. It is unfit for consumption. You get to keep this one as a pet. So now I got a boar friend.
Boar friends. It's your boar friends and you.
They've built a fucking boat. A speedboat just to test the oil because it's going to be used in the big boat. Oh, yeah. So I don't remember if this was clarified in the first episode at all. That the so-called love potion that Senku had given Taiju.
Right, no, so hang on. So they find the oil, they harvest the oil, and they're in the process of harvesting the oil. It's a little bit of, this is probably like a 3-minute in screenshot or something like that. And basically, Senku's refining the oil into gasoline, and Taiju just walks up and goes, I smell that love potion you gave to me in the first episode.
Yeah.
And then it cuts away to Senku explaining that this is a love potion that if you, I guess, smell it, drink it. I don't know what Senku was trying to encourage Taiju to do there, but it could not have been healthy.
He just wanted him to drink this thing and go tell that girl you like her.
But so anyway, we learn that the thing was gasoline.
Yeah, which is kind of brushed under the rug because it's...
And if Taiju can smell it, it must be the correct type of gas. It's such a fucking weird show.
I can't remember if that was ever... Because I feel like that might have actually been clarified already at some point. But if not, the only reason it's brought up here is so that Ryusei can say, hey, the last thing you created before you froze was gasoline, and now we're caught up to gasoline, which means that everything we do from this point forward is beyond what you had done before.
To which I responded, you don't fucking know what Senku's done.
Senku wasn't building
he was literally
society back from nothing before.
Senku was planning to be an astronaut, and you think you've beat him with gasoline? I mean, not beat him, but you think you've caught up to his knowledge.
They wanted us to feel like the story has come so far, but it
has. It's come a long way.
I have to pee really bad. We have one more episode to talk.
Let's rewind a bit then.
Yeah, we're gonna
go back
a couple slides.
Just go back 5 slides.
We were probably, I don't know where.
Hey, we'll wait a second for this to catch.
Do you think I knocked it out when I went to the bathroom and came back?
Fuck, I hope not.
Well, we just had some technical glitches. I don't know how much we lost in what we were just saying, but basically these guys, they get a speedboat. They're tripping out because they're on the water, but everything's okay. They make a big radio beacon, and then Sweet Boy Ginro's like, hey, why don't you confess to Chrome over this telephone? Because he failed to do that for you back earlier when you first had a telephone, and it would be super sweet. She tries but fails because she gets interrupted by a sudden signal, and it's Morse code, and Gen's tripping about it. Apparently I cannot open the next file. We may just have to go ahead and say this is the end. I can't seem to bring up my episode 4 images for some reason. Hold on. Let me see if I can resolve this real quick.
Okay, so I mean, I think we can do this without images. Let's just keep Gen being mortified. All right. Well, anyway, welcome to the podcast segment of the podcast.
The last episode of Dr. Stone that's come out, it starts off with all the guys who were considered the smartest guys. Basically, everybody who was on the speedboat.
We didn't explain the Morse code, though.
Oh, it just says Y. W-H-Y. Over and over.
Senku, the episode ends with Senku challenging the guy, going, "Are you the man who's behind petrification? I'm going to figure out what's going on with you." And so they call him Y-Man or something. The big problem I had with that scene, though, was it took, I think, Gen figuring out what the Morse code said instead of Senku,
it starts off with
almost certainly
all the guys
knows
were
Morse
considered
code,
the smartest.
or Ukyo, who was a radio sonar operator who would absolutely know Morse code.
Well, my take on that scene was that they knew and they just thought it was obvious and didn't say anything, and that it's only because Gen is the guy who would be like, oh, I know a thing, that he's like, because I don't even think he initially says it like out loud. Even he's just like tripping on it, you know.
Yeah, that is probably. I mean, who says it first?
It's all him. He's the only one who says anything in that scene, really. So I just kind of took it as, I guess the other guys just know.
But anyway, we also forgot about the Eyes of Science. That's the next episode. I'm sorry. Episode ends, and welcome to the next episode. They're dealing with Y-Man, and then something.
They're trying to figure out how they would deal with Y-Man, which they can't really conclude anything because they don't know anything about him.
Yeah, how are we going to deal with like enemy forces potentially?
Yeah. And they've got a sort of council of the 5 smart guys who are on the boat. They're considered like, the Dr. Stones, if you will.
But Senku has figured it out already. He took a beaker, he coated it with fluorescent paint, and he put a laser in the middle of it. So now, sonar.
He created a cathode ray tube, so he's got a little visual for his sonar. They end up improving fishing.
They catch a bunch of fish. Chrome threw a fun little side conversation of, can I see through women's clothes? And Senku basically says, you could see through more than women's clothes. I mean, you'd see their skeletons. And Chrome then goes off into a thought
that means I could see through the ground.
Yeah, and they need a bunch of iron, so then they have a mine. And there's a...
he builds a metal detector out of, crap he's got.
Yeah, he just unplugs the stuff that's plugged into the radar. Or sonar.
So, he creates a metal detector. They find a bunch of stuff. They mine it. They create a whole road, a paved road.
That's after they create the mine, though, because they create the mine. There's the weird little
they have this insane-looking mechanism. I wish I still had my screen cap up,
and then
so I could point at it and go, "What the hell is that?"
And then a bunch of people collapse trying to take rocks out of the mine.
Yeah.
And so then they create the paved road, very fast, better than Power Tools apparently, because of the Gorilla Squad or whatever they're called.
Yeah, they're 2 strength.
Yeah, and so then there's a road. They're getting steel. They have mine carts. I mean, they're accelerating. They're going fast. I'm excited to see what technology we get to learn about next episode. I don't know if I'm forgetting anything.
I don't think so. I will say my biggest issue with Dr. Stone, if I have one, is that the storytelling can be very and then. There's not a lot of back and forth. Especially in this arc, they've just been building shit. It's been 4 straight episodes of, we built this, which means now we can build this, which means now we can build this.
It do be like that sometimes. These problems.
Yeah, it's just been the rapid expansion of civilization for these 4 straight episodes.
They haven't found their next antagonist.
No.
Or they kind of have, I guess. Y-Man.
I like where we're at. I like that we've got a big community. There's lots of fun discoveries being made. It's a little bit more pulled back because it used to be more instructional. We're we're going to teach you how to make something. And they still do a little bit of that, but you're not learning how to make everything. They're no, the structures have gotten too big and complicated.
I mean, the final episode of Season 2 was literally how to murder somebody, so they can't teach you how to do that.
Yeah. So, I would say the Ryusei OVA was my favorite part of Dr. Stone so far.
9 out of 10.
I gave it an 8. It would be a strong 8. It's as close to a 9 as Dr. Stone has gotten for me, for sure. This season, I would say so far, strong 7, light 8. Yeah, it hasn't done anything exceptional, anything mind-blowing. It's just been fun to watch. I just like all the characters.
Yeah.
They do an astonishing job. Like, Reporter Girl is probably the most, like, interesting character. Like, she's not new, but to this arc, she's newish, you know? 'Cause
I mean, she's new to the team.
Yeah, she's new to being, like, a character as opposed to, like, a background character, you know?
As for where I could see the show going, like, projected score, I think it could reach low 9, high 8, or a 6.
I would agree, depending on what direction it goes. I've heard that we are not even in the best.
I've heard that as well, and I know. I ruined things for myself. I know we're not, and I just hope it continues to be adapted. I really like this comment, Greed Island arc.
Is that like?
It's Hunter x Hunter.
I know, but why? What is
just Dr. Stone, Greed Island arc? Who cares?
All right, Dr. Stone, New World, season 3 of Dr. Stone. As you probably remember, this whole season we've been building a boat, and it's time to finish building this fucking boat.
And initially, we think we have to build a small boat.
Yes, well, Kasaki's like, the hull's becoming crooked and fucked up, and I can't keep it going. You know, this boat's too big. I can't conceptualize it. It's breaking my brain.
But then Ryusui's greed takes over.
Yeah, Ryusei goes into a whole fucking mind tunnel about this. Like, we have to learn his... In order for us to understand just how incapable he is of giving up on this boat, we need to know...
Or anything.
Yeah, the whole history of how he is somebody who, whatever he wants, he is not going to stop until he gets it. And everyone else considers him kind of like an arrogant dick for this, and they think like, you know, is he a problem? Is his greed really getting in the way?
But they have friends, or rather, he has Francois to back him.
Yes, they all ask Francois, like, what do you think? Is he an asshole? And she's like, honestly, I think he's right. I think greed is good. I think it's easy to give yourself reasons for not wanting something that you truly want, and, you know, actually putting in the effort to achieve what you want is, in the long run, going to be good.
Like, I want 100 acres and a cabin. Is that too much to ask?
It's not. And I'm fascinated with how much this show pushes this ideology of, like, because Ryusei, since he's been introduced, there have been like 3 or 4
Oh my god, imagine property prices in Dr. Stone world.
He'll invent
They must be incredible.
Or non-existent for the most part.
Yeah, and you could just pull up, you know, like, hey, this is all mine now.
Wherever, yeah. Francois has a bunch of times throughout the episodes where she, like, insists... where they insist that that greed is good and this is what makes Ryusei so cool.
Well, it's not that greed is good necessarily. It is that Ryusui's greed is good.
She specifically says the phrase "greed is justice" a number of times, and there's a certain infamous businessman named Gordon Gekko whose motto was,
what did he do?
Greed is good. He, you know, I can't really even describe it. Honestly.
I actually don't know. I wasn't doing it as a bit.
The Wolf of Wall Street is based on...
No, that's Jordan Belfort, dear.
Oh, well, then it's the other guy. The guy from the other movie that's about Wall Street. It might just be called Wall Street. I don't know.
Alright, Beatrice doesn't know what she's talking about.
The point is that there's a guy whose fucking catchphrase is "greed is good," and he's an infamous character in culture, and it's funny that they are repeating it so much in this anime like it is just true. And, you know, contextually, they have good justifications for why they think Ryusei is ultimately
the movie is called Wall
guy.
Street.
Yeah, but it's... I think there are some people who would really hate this character and this message and everything that it has to say, because they basically are... This show's opinion seems to be that capitalism and greed is necessary to compel, you know, the forward march of progress at the rate that you want it.
I don't necessarily disagree, I don't necessarily agree.
So basically, after this whole
oh my god
fucking What?
Gordon Gekko.
Yes.
From the movie you're talking about is Hank Pym.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, so after going to that
From the Ant-Man movie.
Yeah, we know.
From the MCU.
If you don't know, you don't need to know. Ryusei...
They're really good.
Decides
you should check them out.
Going to make a scale model.
Quantumania was awesome.
Of the boat in order to understand how they're going to make the boat.
Do you say Ryusui decided that? Because that's
Ryusei.
wrong.
No, he just did. He said we're going to build a scaled model, and that's what we'll do. So
I spoke too confidently.
They spend like a third of the episode building the scale model. The main thing is they build this big pencil protractor thing that...
it's a Thomas Jefferson machine. So Thomas Jefferson had this machine where he could just basically write letters and write two at the same time. But instead of that, it's you can draw things, but draw them at massively bigger scales. And so they employ taiju because it's a 50-kilogram weight or something. I don't know. It's heavy.
Mostly, I just wanted to highlight that they speculate that maybe this is how the Nazca lines were drawn. Because you can make this primitive technology. Maybe they did that then. I don't know. Science
I'd be
rules.
curious. I did a project on the Nazca lines when I was in high school. It was fun. Oh, hey, photography girl again.
Yeah, so while
she is dying, right? She's got to be dying. Because, she said this might be the last year.
No, she thinks they're all going to die.
Does she?
I
think it might be both.
They haven't really done anything to imply that she's dying.
Not yet.
But, yeah, so...
You don't know in a primitive society.
As they're building the boat, I guess it's implied that, like, a fucking year passes in this episode. Because they go from...
They go through winter, they're, like, skiing and snowboarding and bullshit. It's weird.
They have a whole winter sports segment.
Also, again, I just have to stress... Any of the hunting they did, anything, off of those fucking daguerreotype photographs... No. Just no.
Yeah, she takes a bunch of pictures of everybody doing stuff all throughout this development cycle. They finish the boat. Here's the bit.
It's a good boat.
They actually make a primitive timer in order for her to be able to get into the shot and not have to take the shot.
Well, actually, Francois anticipated everyone's needs and commissioned it. So
brilliant. So this scene. I really get the feeling that Dr. Stone was trying to take a moment to sort of recenter and, like, remind you who all is in this show. Because we have this massive cast.
Who's in this show? What are we doing? Yeah. What are they doing here?
Everyone's been fucking around and running around. This is a scene where they're like, all right, we're getting on the boat. We're going to go do shit.
Who's coming on the boat?
Yeah, who's coming along? So they bring all the strong people. They bring pretty much every major character.
I don't think.
They do.
Oh, they do? Shit.
Fuck. Yeah, they bring everybody strong. They bring pretty much every character that is not like a frail, homebody. Like anybody who has been doing stuff in the show is coming on the boat. Anybody who kind of has just been around, they're being put aside. Very smart. I've seen people, even in our comments, saying that, like, what's turned them off to this show is that there's just too many fucking characters.
Yeah.
They're always just kind of dicking around. That. Nobody's really got, like... It's been a while since a character had a real beat moment.
Like, I've said it once. I'll say it again. You can only listen to...
Yeah,
so many times.
Yeah.
Please hear me. Please. I like your show. I can't hear the stupid bagpipes anymore.
So yeah, they go down this list.
I could hear them in a different, like, choral structure. Oh. But please, just
really want to change
it.
That eye catch.
Just change it every season so I don't have to hear the same thing for 3 to 4 years.
You're probably the first person I've ever heard, like, make it a demand that, like, they change it.
I like this
understandable.
Show. I like this show. I can't keep listening to those bagpipes.
It's really funny. Yeah, so basically Senku's like, it'd be easier to list people who aren't coming than the ones who are. Also, they're bringing the prisoners.
Because they don't want them to spring out and take over their
while all
land.
the warriors are gone. So this is a whole bit...
So, Ginro stays home initially.
Kinro.
This Ginro.
Isn't it Kinro?
Kinro is the brown-haired one.
Because Kin means gold
No,
in
Kinro's...
Japanese, and Gin means silver. So I think...
This is Ginro.
Okay. Well,
So, Ginro stays behind because he doesn't feel up to the challenge, and then he starts swimming towards the boat because he thinks this will cause him to be the chick magnet.
yeah,
Because
his plan is... So most of the hot chicks got left behind. So what I'm going to do is pretend I want to go on the boat and that I couldn't
and do
make
my
it.
best and not make it.
Yeah.
But then Senku, in a stroke of genius, goes, hey, turn the radar around. See what's going on.
Yeah, let's make sure everything's fine as we're leaving. And then they notice there's somebody in the water. Taiju immediately swims like 1,000 meters in a
just
second.
really quickly. Yeah.
Picks him up, and I think I have a shot of everybody dancing around him, being happy that he's here. Oh, you're right, it is Ginro. That is very strange.
Well, I just have a better memory of these things.
Here's pretty much everybody on the boat, I think. So, yeah, this is like our main cast going forward. But...
Unless, I really hope they do not cut back.
I would describe the second half of this
So-
episode as, like, cute but not really necessary.
Sure. That's a lot of Dr. Stone.
That's true. It was just, like, the whole scene... It's literally half an episode of just, like, naming people as they get on the boat, and then them talking about, like, how they feel about the fact that they're getting on the boat. Like, Gen has to kind of be... Like,
oh, I didn't think you would
coerced
name me. Why would you name me?
Yeah.
That would be silly. And then Senku goes, well, what's the point of a mentalist if they're not there to mentalize?
You're obviously necessary. So, but yeah, I like that we've got a more focused cast and we're kind of going in. I feel like there's more opportunity for each person to leave a mark from here on
Is
out.
this the last one? Or do we have
Yeah,
more?
this is it.
Okay. So if this is the last one, you should have gotten a screen cap of Y-Man.
Did they show Y-Man?
At the last, yeah.
I forgot about that.
So Y-Man, they set out into the ocean. They're going around and they set out their radar to receive signals, and they get a bunch of Morse code. And I mean, it's just going why.
Yeah,
why?
that was like 3 episodes ago.
Oh well, fine. Okay,
I thought you meant there was a new appearance.
You
of
know
Y-Man.
what? Fine. Finish up it.
Well, that's it. This is it. This is the end of the episode.
We did it.
We did it. We finished all the anime.
How dare you correct me? We didn't even talk about Y-Man even a little bit.
We talked about him last time on the previous podcast when he was first introduced, and they were like, "Oh, he says WHY. We gotta figure out what that's about." It was, the whole last episode was about that. Episode 4, I mean. Anyway.
All right. Thank
fine.
you for listening.
Good. Dr. Stone's cool. I like it. Sorry, we were about to do. I was still talking about Dr. Stone.
Dr. Stone was very cool. I've been enjoying it so far. I would have to rank it at the... I mean, it's a strong 6. I don't think it reaches above that because too much of it is not relevant to the plot at all.
I think this season...
I could see it going to an 8 or 5.
I could see it going to a 7 or an 8. Yeah, I would agree it's probably like a strong 6 right now because not that much has happened this season that's that interesting. But I still really like this show. It's just charming. I like all the characters.
Yeah.
All right, did you want to do a wrap-up?
Can I?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
You ready?
Time is now. We've only got one more anime to talk about. This podcast went a lot longer than I thought it would because these episodes, every show was exciting this week, regardless of good or bad. Most of them were exciting, except for Dr. Stone. This was maybe the worst episode of Dr. Stone so far.
I don't know about that.
One of the least interesting episodes.
They're
of
on the
Dr.
ocean.
Stone. So, okay. Last episode was a ridiculous amount of setup for getting on this boat.
And now they're on the boat.
To
Look
kind
at
of like
it.
say, hey, we're going into a new arc. I understand that there needed to be some time on the boat. Like, we needed to spend some time there so it felt like a real journey, because they're going, like, across the world.
They should have done a parody of The Lonely Island.
But just none of the stuff that happens on the boat is very exciting, and this episode is packed with retcons. Many retcons.
That's a little later in the episode.
Oh,
we'll get
man.
there in just a second.
So, alright. They're on the boat. They've got their little command room, which is cool. Senku's like, we're going to save all 7 billion humans. It's time. They're like, how the fuck are you going to do that? We lost our miracle water cave. And he's like, if we have some platinum, we can restore, we can make it our, like, we can make endless fucking
nitric acid.
And I don't remember why he has this theory, but basically he thinks that or maybe it was because of the 100 Tails. We'll get to that in a second. But his dad, when he landed from space and created a society, they created a treasure chest on the island that they had landed on that was full of all their best minerals, all their most precious rocks and shit. So they want to go find that treasure box because they think it's going to have platinum in it.
So to learn about all of the the 100 Tales are a collected set of stories that have been passed down through Ishigami Village since the petrification happened. And we learn that the Ishigami Village was split off by the astronauts.
Yeah, we're gonna, we flash back to, I guess, when they first showed up at the village, and when Senku first was hanging out with Kohaku's sister. I don't remember her name, but she's like the priestess. Ruri. When he first is hanging out with Ruri, and she tells him all of the 100 Tales, which... getting to number 8 takes all night long, and he's exhausted. I thought that was a fun little...
That was cute.
...moment. But yeah, like... Again, we're like jumping way back in the timeline of the show to go back and readdress this for it being relevant again now. And
so everyone's named after a type of ore.
Yes,
wow.
It's finally mentioned that all the main characters' names are some kind of pun on an ore type, and so that's intentional.
Dunbar's number.
Yeah, there's a lot of just random concepts thrown into this episode. Basically, the long and short of what they're trying to explain, because every explanation is super wordy in this show, is that at some point the survivors who built their village would have gotten big enough that they would have split away, because Dunbar's number says
they had to explore.
You can only get to like 150 people before it becomes sort of untenable as a society. Now, I've always been fascinated with Dunbar's number. I have thousands of people's names and what they do in my brain, but I think that keeping up with people in that kind of active way that you would consider a community, I have like 5. So I don't know what is considered like the level of relationship you are supposed to be able to have.
The maximum number of people the human brain can remember in a village.
I'm just saying I can remember more than 150 people, but can I keep track of what they're doing? I don't know.
Probably not.
I think in modern society, obviously, most of us live in cities with way more than 150 people, but we have, like, intersecting communities. I would say most people probably are aware, like, actively in their real lives of, like, 150 people.
Yeah.
Like, you've got your whole extended family, you've got whoever you work with, you've got whoever you go to school with, whoever you're in clubs with, whoever you deal with on the internet, like...
The cast of Vanderpump Rules.
I just think that mine is, I mean, this is probably why I have such shallow relationships with most people, but my number goes a lot higher than 150. Nonetheless, it's a fun concept to play around with. So... halfway through the episode,
hey, bald guy shows up.
This guy,
so this is really infuriating.
I don't know if this dude was in the background in earlier episodes, because we've talked about how there have been scenes where there's just random fucking characters who've like never said anything or been introduced that have been around. This guy apparently is on the strength team. He's this bald dude with a big X scar on his head and big.
It says he has a cameo in episode 7.
Okay, so he has shown up before.
Been in the show before.
But
it's been a while.
Basically, other characters come in and they're like, "Hey, this dude from the power team has something he wants to tell you." And he shows up and everyone's like, "We literally have no idea who you are. Nobody knows who this guy is."
And Kohaku goes as far to go like, "Yeah, he doesn't even have a name."
Yeah, we put him down as no name on the list because we do not know who this fucking man is. But he tells them, I'm not originally from Ishigami Village. I actually washed ashore as a baby, and they found me and took pity on me and took me in. Look how small that
baby is.
Where did he get let off from? God only the fuck knows. But basically they conclude from this that this must mean that the island is still inhabited, that the astronauts, their descendants, inhabited this island. Those people eventually found their way to Japan because that was what they were told to do by the astronaut, the original leaders. And so they found their way there, and at some point, for some reason, much later than that, someone left their fucking baby. Traveled the sea to leave their baby? Well, I'm sure we're going to learn that whole story eventually.
Here we get a cool little view of what's going on in the ship. There's like the engine, there's a little mobile lab that'll fit in the back of the car. I don't actually see the car, I notice.
I really wish that this scene had come before all those other scenes.
Yeah, you know, maybe like at the very beginning.
Why didn't they start off showing off the boat? If we then we would have really settled in and felt like we're going to be on this boat all episode.
It looks like there's sheep in there, or maybe goats.
Yeah, this is they go through most of the rooms and
a cute shark.
Explain what is all on the ship. And then there's lots of just like ship scenes. Like, hey, what could happen on a boat? What could science do for people on a boat?
So we could make some medicines. Get really seasick. Dr. Stone, fucking Senku, he goes, "Hey, you want to see something really poisonous?" And then he dilutes it a whole bunch and gives it to the seasick people, and they're fine. Wow, science.
There's a part where a big storm comes in. And everybody gets to their stations because Senku's like, well, the storm could work to our advantage because they're not going to see us coming, but our eyes of science
immediately
can see them. And as the island is coming into view, bald guy
Soyuz
fucking has a flashback to his literal infancy.
And he's just like, oh my god, this is definitely the place I was born. And so when he said that line, I out loud yelled, no.
There's a scene... where he explains that he had been kind of obsessed with trying to get back home. He like built a boat and tried to go out, but he failed and just washed back ashore. So like they're trying to set up that there's like emotion behind this, but we just fucking met this guy. It's really hard to give a shit about this at all. It's so goofy.
I bet they'll give us more.
I will say this felt very One Piece to me. Because
of the X on his head?
The character design contributes to it for sure. But, like, in that show, generally, like, at least in the early part especially, like, in between islands, because each arc kind of takes place on an island, like, their boat will be out and they'll run into somebody who's, like, their problem is why the arc begins.
Yeah.
So it's like we meet a new character. That character has some kind of emotional reason that everybody else is going to now give a shit about whatever's about to happen. So that's kind of what's happening here, but it's just so... It just feels so random. Like, who the fuck is this guy? He's never been in the show before.
He's really emotional. He really, like,
he has been in the show, but he never had dialogue. Yeah, it's...
Also, real quick, in between islands, that's the ocean.
Yeah, and whenever they're on the ocean. This whole episode, just to me, again, it was a lot of belaboring the point. It's a lot of, like... You know, they'll have... The conversations in this show are realistically in-depth in a way that isn't entertaining. Because it's too much. It's like, somebody will bring up, well, what if somebody on the island could be Y-Man? And then everybody has to have an opinion on whether or not, like, you know... And so, that just slows it to a crawl. And again, there's no tension in the show right now. There's not a bad guy. Ever since they beat Tsukasa... then there's no like looming threat. There's Y-Man, but we don't know what that is. So yeah, like
now we have some new looming threat, the island.
I think that all of this setup is fine. It could lead to something great. It's just boring in the moment.
AF.
Yeah, this episode is a 5 out of 10 for me.
But that is a problem with Dr. Stone. That's kind of why I had to take a break at some point in season 2.
This was a 5 out of 10 in the same way that Pokemon was, in that it was like it was a little offensive with this guy showing up.
Yeah.
But there were also some fun moments that were kind of like, okay, but nothing super memorable. Like all I'm gonna have in my head of this episode is just that one shot of the whole ship.
Yeah.
That's probably all I'm gonna remember of this. Is like, oh yeah, they were on the ship. There was like a storm or something, and they made it to the island. Like
I think at one point Ryusui makes some kind of like delicious snack or beverage, or I'm sorry, not Ryusui, Francois makes some kind of delicious snack or beverage. Yeah, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so that's it.
I'd give it like a 4.
A 4, yeah, strong 4 to a light 5. It's the worst episode of Dr. Stone I can remember having seen. And I really hope it picks back up very quickly because I don't... This show...
I was pretty mad about the
this show moves
pictures.
Too slow for how little of it they fucking make. This has been coming out since 2019?
Yeah, something like that.
So we're on our 4th year of Dr. Stone, and we're only on a third... 11... Season 2 was only 11 episodes. Season 3 is only 11 episodes. Ryusei was like a 4-episode length of a special, but,
Maybe we'll get more of that.
It just feels like, man, we get so little Dr. Stone and it makes so little progress. Like, how long are we going to be fucking watching this before we get the real satisfying payoffs that might come later? So, yeah, I don't know. It's unfortunate that I don't think this season will be able, have time to build up to anything super interesting, you know? There are some shows with amazing music, some shows with okay music, and some shows that use it really poorly, like Dr. Stone, where the music is always at 11 and amazing and
but not well.
It doesn't always fit what's happening in the scene. It's just such a loud and intense, it's trying to be as shonen as it can. While the plot is about science, it's nerds.
Yeah.
It's nerds acting really intense.
So they show up to Petrification Island. I guess they're hiding behind a rock or something. At some point, it's discovered that Suika is there. She snuck on board.
She's stowed away.
But they're sending the smallest team they can possible onto the mainland.
It's funny because 2 episodes ago, we established everybody who was on the boat.
Which was everybody.
We had some commenters who complained about how the show really had a chance to reduce the size of its cast.
Yeah, and they didn't at all.
Didn't. And it gets even funnier that Suika's on board because it's great, even more fucking characters.
And later in this episode, we get even more characters.
She's told that, he's just being strict with you because he
doesn't want you to die.
You see.
Imagine how he'd have to react if you were killed.
This episode starts off kind of lame and then rapidly ramps up to be the best episode in a while.
Ukyo basically goes, hey, can someone go look at the seafloor? And so Ginro dives down and he sees a bunch of statues. And, Ginro's like, yeah, that's not weird. We see statues all the time. And Ukyo goes, no. When the petrification happened, there weren't people on this island. There's something very wrong here.
Yes. Why would there be petrified people here? So immediately this raises the idea the petrification wave has happened more than once. This is fucking huge.
It's spooky.
It's the whole plot.
Here we go.
It's been about the petrification. We've never known fucking anything about it. And now we know it could potentially be happening multiple times. Oh, not just potentially, it literally happens.
Oh no, Chrome and the old man.
Remember how they sent out the smallest recon team they possibly could?
Well, there are characters now. Woohoo! Our cast is cut down.
Our cast has been cut down. Everybody gets turned to stone except the recon crew, who discovers it and freaks the fuck out. Yes, Suiko was thrown to shore by Ryusui at the last moment, is what she says. This is
oh my god,
Senku's reaction, and I want to comment on this manga is drawn by a guy called Boichi who
The Rock.
Sunken Rock was actually the name of the first thing he did that got popular. He's a Korean artist who Sunken Rock is basically about gangsters in the city just beating the shit out of each other. It's got lots of prostitutes and stuff. It's aimed at an older audience than Dr. Stone. He's done a bunch of manga, but what I would consider his trademark is that he draws his characters really different in every panel. There's almost no consistency, except that he consistently draws the same types of weird expressions. So this is a very Boichi drawing of half completely in darkness, just super serious, ridiculous face that he's making, finding out his friends have been petrified. I just thought it was really cool. I like that this anime really tries to adapt how different the characters must look panel to panel in the manga into animation. They also introduced this girl who, Boichi
Amaryllis.
His vision of beauty is basically the tiniest mouth and the biggest eyes humanly fucking imaginable.
Yeah.
And then some kind of, even though the characters might be fair-skinned, some kind of African-American style. Like her hair, she's wearing
she has dreadlocks.
Dreadlocks. Boichi loves like incorporating those little aspects of like American, African designs into his characters, regardless of how much fucking sense it makes. But yeah, that's where we're at.
Soyuz is immediately in love, and Kohaku's like, we need to, Gen rather is like, we need to take this tactfully. We need to go up to her. First impressions are everything. Basically, Senku just walks up and is like, hey, where's my treasure chest, bitch?
Yes. And they're worried that she could be the one who caused the stones, all kinds of stuff. But they see 3 guys proposing to her all of a sudden.
And she turns them down because she is betrothed to the master or the leader or something. Yes, the leader.
I love that Kohaku is so excited about this. I will be upset if Dr. Stone ends without her literally bearing Senku's child. This woman wants this man more than any other woman has ever wanted a man. Well, she just wants she thinks Senku is she literally thinks he is the greatest genius of all time. She's just like, this man thinks on a level I can't begin to comprehend because she's kind of a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But she's really strong, and whatever she can do for him, she's very happy she can do it for him because she thinks he's like literally the ultimate. And all the scenes where she like brags about him are really cute.
They are adorable.
She's always like, well, Senku thinks like this. Of course he would make those decisions. I'm just saying, they gotta have children.
Let's see how it plays out. Alright, so Amaryllis is sad. She's going to be taken to the master tomorrow to become a bride of the inner palace.
Is she sad? Because actually, she's carrying a basket of mushrooms. Shells. And she, like, squirts juice, salt water, into her eyes to make herself cry. Because she's trying to pretend that she's really happy that the guys from the island proposed to her and that she would totally take any of them if she wasn't, so I have to go to the master. Actually, she super wants to be married to the master, but it's so she can stop him because he's in control of the
petrification waves.
But anybody
Soyuz
she thinks
gets a big hug because she thinks he is the master. She says, "I love you." He is embarrassed.
Big time ho
energy. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Everybody who says they're because first she thinks it's him. He passes out. They're like, it's not him. And then Kohaku's like, if anybody's our master, it would be Senku. So she does the same thing to him, and he's just like, ugh.
I can't be fooled by your tricks.
What a hoe.
So
I forgot
tear gas.
I forgot this happened until I rewatched the episode. They to bypass the other villagers, they just tear gassed them.
Yeah,
I guess
the villagers are fighting or something, and so Senku goes, "Gen, we have to use this," and then they tear gas them. It was pretty weird. It was out of nowhere, but
it was
cool.
An odd one.
She looks cool. She's standing there.
She basically says that she spent her whole life training to be the prettiest girl in the village,
which is convenient,
so that she could be with the master
and figure out the secret. She's about to go there.
I like her. She's cute.
She's fun. I like her. She's a good new character.
Dr. Stone is the very last anime that we've got to share with you all, and it was a solid episode. This arc has
Stone World.
Slimming out the cast hilariously in the previous episode was a great move because it allowed us to have our main team kind of establish themselves more. We ended the last episode with them doing this. They didn't show this in the last episode, but they like shot nerve gas at them, right?
They did show this in the last episode.
Did they show this whole pose with
Yeah. Gen jumps down on the ground and then Senku starts like turning shit. Yeah, they show this.
I gotta say, I really appreciate this show. This episode is gonna like really lean in, just like the last episode did, on Kohaku and Senku shipping. But also, this imagery to me, is for the Gen and Senku shippers. And I really think they wanted I think they wanted these two to be like options, you know, like different audience members are gonna want one or the other, but both ships feel highly relevant to me. It's like, hey, Senku, who do you pair him with? The obvious straight choice or the obvious gay choice? Anyway.
Gen could be a woman.
Gen can be whatever you want.
No, I'm saying Gen could be a woman. Maybe maybe he is just such a good mentalist.
Yeah, we literally could not know. So we flash back to like 5 years earlier, and the woman who has been betrothed to the guy who's like in charge.
She's not even betrothed to him. It's just like there is a system in the village where every year or so the guy who is in charge of the village comes down and picks the most attractive girls.
So we see this flashback where she was with this group who were like, hey, fuck this island, fuck always having to do stuff or else we get turned into stone, we're just gonna like build a raft and go off. So they start doing that, and then the man in charge and the woman who is like his right hand woman, I guess, they are chasing after them, and he spots the girl in the back, and he's like, you know, that 13-year-old girl, I can tell she's gonna be really hot in like 5 years. And the other woman's like, you're a pedophile. And he's like, that doesn't matter. All that matters is having beautiful women on your arms at all times. That's the only meaning of life. So we're going to petrify the rest of those guys, but make sure you throw the petrification stone far enough that it doesn't affect her. So basically,
no, not intentional.
No, he does. He tells her throw it far enough in the air that it won't reach to her.
No, he doesn't.
He does. He says make sure it's like off. Like he's intending to have her not get frozen.
No, he isn't. I'm pretty sure that's not what it is because they didn't. Anyway, he is only telling her to raise it up so that it actually hits them. Like,
I thought he was trying to spare the kid.
No. I mean, a good rule of thumb with anime, and it doesn't apply all the time, they're going to literally say what they're doing most of the time.
That's true.
I think it was literally just her aim was a little off, and he was trying to figure that out. He's the spotter, she's the thrower.
In any case, they froze everybody but her. She got away, and, obviously he wanted her from the beginning. So she tells this story to Senku, and he pretty much figures that as long as there is any kind of rules controlling this petrification beam, that means it's science.
And that means this is how I win.
If it's a science battle, we can't lose. This moment reminded me a lot of No Game, No Life, which is one of the anime I've compared this show to, and No Game, No Life is the show that I considered like central to my thesis of the otaku hero's journey, in which I present the idea that there's always a mad scientist, which is the person who can imagine how the future is going to be changed, and then a living computer, which is the person who actually solves the equation for how that's going to happen. And what's interesting about Senku is that he is both. He doesn't have he's obviously a mad scientist, but he doesn't have a living computer sidekick. He is the living computer. He's just the ultimate dude. You could say in a way that Ryusui kind of fills the space of what I would have called the mad scientist role, with Senku being the living computer to that. But I really think that what makes Senku not necessarily an otaku hero, but just a science hero, is he's not schizo-autistic. He's not like a weirdo that puts people off in any way. He's not divorced from society. He's like a very functional, very normal engineer that everyone loves and respects as soon as they meet him. He's a leader. He's a natural,
I think he's more of a Gallon.
So I even though he literally falls into the exact tropes of the otaku hero, which is basically thinking that because you have the logical ability and the imagination, you can solve all of the world's problems without killing anybody. and you know, and be the hero. And Senku is that exact combination of traits. And Sora in No Game No Life says almost the exact same quote at the start of that show, because basically Sora and Shiro are like, we win any game we're a part of, but the real world is a shit game where the logic doesn't make any sense. But if we're in a world where everything is governed by logic, we will definitely win because we're the best at logic. And that is Senku right in this moment. Big science hero energy.
Shit game, poop play.
So basically, they need to make Kohaku win the cutest girl in the village contest so that she can go meet the guy. They're like, you gotta change your clothes, and she just starts undressing. She's like, yeah, these guys don't care.
They do.
Kohaku's the best girl. You know, she doesn't understand how hot or how unhot she is. She has no idea that she could be hotter by wearing makeup or outfits or whatever.
And makeup doesn't really exist, also.
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter to her that she is hot in the first place. You know, she's really just a warrior. She's just kind of a lunkhead. I love her. They put her in a cute outfit, but Gen is like, this isn't enough. The problem is the face and the attitude. It's that her personality is unladylike and unattractive. There's a hilarious scene where she hears something and is about to run off and then realizes he has tied a rope to her wrist.
Well, no, it's that they break Chrome. The guy with the huge hat breaks Chrome.
She wants to run in to do something about it. But yeah, the relationship of Gen, Senku, and Kohaku, I really like the chemistry the three of them have together.
They're cute.
And yeah, here's Chrom is legally dead.
Well, I mean, they're all legally dead.
One of our like main ass characters. Yeah, everybody on the ship has been frozen, but we see Chrom broken as a statue. Like, as we know, the revival fluid can fix all wounds when you get brought back. So as long as you repair the statues, they're fine. But for now, Chrom has been beheaded. That's pretty fucked. It's pretty crazy what's going on in this arc. So Kohaku is trying to scout to figure out how she can get closer to the boat, and then the woman who's like the second in command of the
Kirisame?
island, who I guess is just naked under that
no
very sheer outfit.
Who, Kohaku?
No, look, the other woman. Like, you can see you can see her body.
No, she's not naked. I mean, she's wearing stuff. We've seen her full outfit.
What is she wearing under there? You can see her whole entire body.
That's her back.
This is her front. This is her tits.
I don't think
That's
so.
her pussy. Yeah, this is her ass. This is her front. She's coming towards Kohaku.
She's coming.
You can see her
She's
knees.
coming towards Kohaku.
Anyways, yeah, she's attacking, and Kohaku just starts screaming, "We just need the lab. All we want is the lab."
And then Senku pretends to be Lab.
Yes. Well, she knows that none of these people have ever heard of a lab. They don't know what the fuck she's talking about. But anybody who knows what a lab is will know that she's in danger and that she's yelling about it and try to help her. So yeah, they come running, and mentalist Gen convinces them that Lab is Senku. And she's just so desperate for Senku, so she pretends to make out with him. It's actually secretly not happening, but I mean, look at this. Come on. Come on. I really like it. I like that they're pushing this ship so hard. You know, this show needed some kind of sexuality in it, I think.
Yeah. Well, other than there had been some, I can't remember her name, Rurika? Kohaku's sister, the priestess. She had kind of been sexualized for a little bit there. Yuzuriha and...
Sure, there's relationships that are going on. I just think, Senku, he's always up in his science mind. He probably would never try to pursue a relationship, but the fact that Kohaku... And she's not,
we don't even know if Senku's ever kissed anyone before. This could be his first kiss. This is probably their both first kiss.
She's not actually kissing him on the lips, though. She's like...
Kissing him on the cheek.
Yeah, like pretending for the angles. So then we get a little flashback that explains that when the bad guys froze everybody, Ryusui and I can't remember the archer kid's name. Ukyo. They both quickly realize that whatever this thing is, it functions like a grenade. So Ukyo manages to shoot an arrow at it that knocks it just high enough up that they have a second to prepare. Ryusui, being the badass that he is,
realizes he's going to die pretty much and goes, "Who can I save?" And he fucking kicks Suika in the back of the head and goes, "Live on, Suika!
Live, Suika! Tell them that we're fucked over."
And then Ginro, he's underwater to investigate something that they had picked up on the radar. He sees this happening and just swims down as far as he possibly can.
I really do think that the creators of this manga, they really wanted us to like Ryusui as much as Senku. Like, I think they... You know, science is the core.
He has his own special marking. It's a different color.
He has his own marking. He's got his own episode that's like 4 episodes long.
He's the only character that's been introduced that is even half as significant as Senku.
Yeah, he is like immediately the number 2 guy.
And then Francois is like half as significant as Ryusui.
And
actually, I wouldn't even say that. I think Francois is probably a little more significant.
I think what it comes down to is most of the characters in this show either fulfill a distinct utility, like the obvious example would be Taiju. He is the strong guy that Senku needed from the start.
There's a couple strong guys. There's Taiju, there's Magma, there's that girl. I don't remember her name, but
Yuzuriha,
the power team.
Yuzuriha is the tailor. You know, like you have all these characters that have Gen is the mentalist.
Does she sing?
But most
She's
of
the
them,
tailor.
Yeah,
the Eras tour.
Most
happening
of them
right now.
Don't necessarily stand for anything. Like they have a purpose, but they don't have a theme or like a core identity. Senku stands for science. He is Science Man. Crom is like his backup number 2. Like, I'm Science Man, but I don't know all the stuff you know. But there was the spirit of science carries on even in people who don't know shit. Ryusui stands for capitalism. He is the spirit of money, the spirit of greed.
Wrong. He stands for greed.
Okay,
I feel they are different. Yeah. He is just greedy because, capitalism, I mean, to some extent is like getting one over on the other guy you're competing against. Ryusui is greedy because he wants to uplift the people that are helping him. He is so greedy to the point that he is greedy for other people.
He's like the ideal wealthy person. Like, he's what we
Which
all
is to say non-existent.
Right. He is the heroic ideal of, like, a capitalist hero that uses it all for good in a way that, like, idealistically is how, somebody like that would be. But I really think that the authors of this manga wanted kids to look up to Ryusui as much as Senku. And in order to do that, he has to be extremely heroic. Like, for being his character is that he's the greediest man in the world.
Well, and they accomplish the whole heroism thing just by, like, at least once an episode he goes, "Ha ha!" And that's pretty heroic of him.
Well, I mean, the fact that he thinks he's literally about to die, and his first thought is, who can I save? So it's like, that's as heroic as anything anybody could possibly do in a story. I'm about to die. Who can I save? Literal superhero logic. And, of course, he picks the child. So, yeah. Suika and Ginro made it through this situation. Ginro's
a fucking dumbass. This whole sequence we're going through right now of who survived is because Senku, with the whole lab thing, they're like, someone must be there. Yeah. Someone must have survived.
But we're going to get the shot that you're thinking
of. Good.
Ginro swims aboard the ship, and there's actually a pretty great moment where he finds his brother turned to stone and, like, runs back to his memories of everything that happened in the show with them, and it's just like, oh my god, he's fucking... Yeah, it's a good moment. It's
depressing.
It's a good way to sell this whole thing.
This show, this season, had not really, like, recaptured the Dr. Stone energy for me until, like, right now.
Yeah.
Like, this sequence. Not just him crying, but just this whole sequence. Yeah. It's finally here. We're back. We're doing science. There is an enemy. Something's happening.
So this was a fun scene, and then there's this fucking hilarious moment where they I think he gives some kind of signal to them. He's like, "Hey, I'm over here," and they look over at the ship.
And they peer over, and they go, "Someone's over there! Look, someone's over there!" And Senku looks with his telescope, and then just is immediately crestfallen. And
they're all like, "Oh no, it's him!" And it's
Ginro Daza.
I love this moment because we, of course, immediately understand why they're having this.
And
reaction.
Amaryllis is just like,
What's wrong with him? And they explain
there's nothing
exactly
wrong
what we are
with
thinking.
him.
Yeah. It's not that he sucks, it's that everyone else was so amazing. If we had any of these A-class people, it would have been so great.
They literally bring up trading cards as a comparison.
It's
and then
such a shonen
it's
Jump
revealed
moment.
that Suika is there, and Senku's like, "Oh my god,
Yes.
Hope. Suika is the S card we needed."
That's really great that Suika's an S compared to Ginro.
Well, because she's a spy and a forager. I think that's how he describes her.
So this, I guess the third in command of the bad guys is this man with a ridiculous hat.
He's second in command.
Well, the girl is second in command.
No, she's the best fighter.
I see. Well,
he is second in command. He's Jafar.
She tries to say some shit to him, and he's like, "Well, technically, only that other guy can say anything
he threatens
about anything." And she's like, "Well, fuck you." The way they make this man scary is that he notices the barrel that
has
Ginro's
moved a quarter of an inch.
Yeah, he's like, "That's not exactly where I saw it before," and you're like, "Oh man, he's really observant. This isn't good." So Ginro's freaking out, thinking he's about to be found, but then they hear a noise. Everybody's like, "What was that noise?" So they go down into the ship to investigate, and they find a bunch of goats. And they've never seen goats before, so they're just like, "Oh, what are these fucking things? This is neat." But of course, secretly, it was Suika who's hiding inside of her melon head amongst all the watermelons, the master of nature and infiltration, as she is called. And, yeah, basically Suika's gonna save the day. She declares at the end of the episode, it's all on me. I'm fucking ready to do it. And that's pretty much it.
What do we got now?
All that's left is Dr. Stone, which we always save for last because it's in season 3. And this was an okay episode. It was fine. It had some moments. It starts off being very Ginro focused, and he's kind of a dumb fuckboy, but that's kind of the point. At first he's like, "I'm just going to take my brother and run. Fuck it. There's nothing I can do." But then Suika is providing a distraction, just
rolling around.
Purely on faith that she thinks Ginro will do the right thing and get the lab out to the people. And so he hears this happening, and he's like, "I can't believe she's doing that, even though she'd get caught." And then Kinro's soul speaks to him, looking sexy and naked, by the way, and is like, "Hey, you should do the right thing." And Ginro's like, "Okay." So then they do. They fucking... It's really unclear exactly how. We don't see Ginro go to the lab mech machine.
No, he just kind of. Well, no. What happens is, fuck. I don't know. Suika's driving it, and Ginro helps it get out. It's not.
He just kind of makes the decision that he's gonna do it, and then it happens. But yeah, whatever. They found the lab. They made it. And so the lab is on wheels, and they have disguised it in plants and stuff to make it look kind of like a creature, so that the enemy won't understand what it is. So it drives on land, and the guys who are pursuing it think that it might just be some kind of beast. And Senku's like, "How do we convince them that it's definitely a beast and not anything else? Let's create the smell of shit, so that this monster, this creature, will have pooped and therefore seem like a realistic beast."
Hang on. Ellen just opened her second bottle of vodka, and I said when she did that, I would go shotgun a beer in solidarity. So I'm just going to run into the bathroom real quick and do that. Be right back.
All right, I guess Bird's going to go shotgun a beer while I talk about shit and poop and farts.
I'm shitting and farting.
He's shitting and farting while I'm shitting and farting. But yeah, the Senku Bot shows up for the first time in a while. I think Senku Bot basically shows up to explain things that are irresponsible. for children to know, or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, he teaches them how to make poop smell. Teaches us how to make poop smell. You just gotta heat up some meat that has been simmered in jasmine tea, I guess. Oh boy. It's the thumbnail of this episode, of this stream. So, the reason they were getting the lab is that they needed to be able to make makeup. There's a whole sequence of them creating makeup so that they can make Kohaku pretty enough that she can compete in the bride election. When they first create the makeup, she tries to do it herself. Of course, she has no idea what she's doing. It comes out like this. Scary. Terrifying. Very Alice Madness Returns
specifically
kind of vibe.
well, she's the Joker baby.
She's
but
the
it's specifically
Joker,
so
baby.
bad because she tries to apply makeup while holding the makeup like a weapon.
Yes. She only understands combat. So, of course, she gets a prettification from the, is her name like Aquamarine or something? No, that's the guy from Oshinoko. Sapphire? That sounds right. She gives Kohaku a makeover. Of course, Kohaku looks stunning and adorable in an actual dress. And then they're like, what if we just roll the dice? Can we get any of the guys to look convincing enough that they could break in? So we get to see everybody Senku's first. They're like, can you pull it off? Senku looks kind of feminine, but has too deep of a voice, so he's not going to work.
Gen looks really feminine and has the voice, but is too tall and that's not a good excuse.
No, Gen could easily have done this. I think they just thought it would be too obvious. Like, yeah, of course Gen can be a woman. Gen has already expressed this plenty of times throughout the series. Gen is clearly gender fluid. But you know what would be really funny is if Ginro, because he's a scrawny little bitch-made idiot, had to be a woman for this. So they dress up Ginro, and of course Ginro's like, I really hope I don't get picked. Like, I don't want to do this.
Oh, they must have won. We're having fireworks again.
Is that really late? It's fucking midnight and a half.
Hang on, let me run out and check real quick. Let's see if that's what I think.
That sounded like it could have been a car accident happening outside. It was a very loud noise that we heard here in our hotel room.
I don't know, there's two girls just like sitting outside over there.
In any case, we're so close to done. Kohaku so basically the guy with the ridiculous hat, he also has a ridiculous voice. There's a part where he goes like, but like
for the longest time possible.
20 straight seconds. That definitely got a giggle out of me.
It's the kind of noise I might make. Say, just as a random example, if someone brought me a hamburger but no fries, and let's say even worse, the hamburger didn't have lettuce or tomato. It was only like mayonnaise, mustard, ketchup, and onions.
I didn't know they were gonna do
It was on the receipt.
Yeah, but like, who expects that the burger doesn't come with anything?
Don't go to Big Boy Burgers in Kansas City.
It's
go to McDonald's.
In Independence. Don't do it. Anyways, so Kohaku is being approached by the creepy guy, and he tries to grab her, and she is about to do a fucking like crazy ass move on him, but Mr. Badass Leader Man's like, hey, I see you doing that. You seem really strong, and that makes me want to fuck. And she's like, well, we can fight about it.
It's cool.
They're gonna fight. It's building up for them to fight. That's fun. Oh, that was my last screen cap.
So basically,
they all three get chosen.
The recap for this episode... Oh, wait, because you don't have Ginro getting chosen. So Ginro very specifically tries to not get chosen by, being a tomboy. And,
turns out he's into that.
Yeah, I mean, and they all go in response to this, wow, he has such varied taste. Also, I hadn't noticed this before, but tall dude, he's got the marking on his back, like the same color as Ryusui. Yeah. I don't know if that's a petrification thing or just a tattoo, but that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not going to. I don't remember it. Okay, Konostono World.
It's the last show. We cover every episode. Yay, we're at the end. Wow, really? It's Dr. Stone. Yay, we always do it last.
I'm so glad this show is good again, because there were, last episode is where it really started to be good again, but there was like a solid 6-7 episodes. It was just like, I get it, okay.
So this episode left very little impression on me.
It didn't do much.
Something you think is
it's a little bit of setup. I mean, there's nothing I can particularly point out right now, but it's like, so they introduce a radio system, which is interesting. Everything's all crystals or whatever.
Earpieces.
Kohaku looks like a spy. I mean, anytime Kohaku gets to be the future shot, she's hot. Like, Kohaku is just hot.
She's just hot. She's amazing. Here's her being cute. So, and Quinn, you have probably no idea who this character is, but her thing is that she's like a super badass tough girl, and they've spent the last like 3 episodes beautifying her to be able to win a literal beauty contest.
Do you have any exposure to Dr. Stone? Do you know the concept at all?
I think I watched a video of Best Guy Ever explaining it years and years ago.
Okay.
That makes sense, yeah, because he had read the manga. And the anime is moving so fucking slow. It's going to take probably 10
I mean, it's
years
probably
to
moving as slow as the
manga.
manga is, right?
No. Well, the manga's just way ahead. Like, it's way, way farther ahead.
Well, because they didn't make the show for a while, I think.
Each season has been, like, 2 fucking years apart and, like, 11 episodes long. They're taking way too long. And I don't think, because this is only supposed to be an 11-episode season, so there's 1 episode left.
No.
They're not going to accomplish fucking anything by the time the season is over.
Fuck, they're leaving us on a cliffhanger next week. Oh, god damn it.
There's a lot of science of creating the earpiece and like a RC
a drone.
Car. Yeah.
They call it a drone.
Honestly, and here's the thing. I'm sure that if you are really into science, then all of these scenes are equally gratifying. Early in the show, when they were creating like the most basic necessities of life, I was more intrigued. But the more advanced the machines are, the more I kind of really just tune out the science. There's like 5 minutes of explaining how to build a thing in this episode that I'm like, yeah, I don't care. If I cared, I'd look up how to build the fucking thing, you know? Like, what are they going to do with it? So, yeah, I don't know. The science parts I've started kind of tuning out. This is really fun, though.
I have always tuned out the science parts because it's just like, unless it's something I didn't know before, because sometimes they do teach you things that are fun. It is an educational anime, and that's the kid gloves I put on when I watch this show. It is just so you can learn science as someone who does not know science. Yeah. The plot is very secondary. Yeah. And in this episode, like a Mecha Senku, the Senku that comes back to explain science concepts, is back again. He basically goes, "Haven't seen me for a while, huh?"
That was the last episode.
Oh, that was the last... Oh, sorry. Whatever. I probably didn't talk about it last week, but Mecha Senku comes back and he's like, "Haven't seen me for a while, huh?" And that was so annoying because it's like, you're the whole point of the show. What are you talking about?
So
it needs to go somewhere.
So anyways, this episode we've got Kohaku, I can't remember, Amaryllis.
You know, the Tool album.
Amaryllis and Ginko, who is in drag.
Ginro
in drag, looking really cute. They've been sent in to infiltrate this place and basically just be hoes, and they're really good at it. So this girl has pretty much been training her whole life, or at least
to be a hoe. Specifically for the purpose of assassinating the person in charge.
She wants to be hot enough that the woman obsessed
goals.
What's the word I'm looking for? When a guy is obsessed with women, womanizing. The womanizing boss of this tribe. She's
we still haven't met.
The way this episode is like portrays this character is like she is purely hot to manipulate and fuck with people and no other reason.
I used to be trolled, but I found a way to stop it. I do all kinds of stupid and gay shit. They can't troll you if you dress up as a girl and kiss them. I don't like doing it, but it works.
I think I've read that before.
Yeah, I showed her that meme earlier this week. Holy shit.
Wait, that's the Tales Against Troll. We were looking at my book.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You showed that to us.
You showed that to us. I'm sorry. I have a poor memory.
So, Amaryllis, she is, just flirting with this big, huge, muscular man. And, of course, he, at the mere sight of her, turns completely pink and is all puffed up and stuff. And she's just using him. It's pretty cute. There's a moment where, oh yeah, they build a drone, I guess. Whatever. There's a moment where Ginro is just admiring how two-faced the girls are. And granted, like, Kohaku has never tried to be cute for any reason at all. She's very attractive because she has a nice body, but she's just not ever attempted it.
In the earpiece, to make sure that she is her, or she's hearing everything people are saying, Gen goes, do a kawaii pose. Yeah. Because he knows it's going to fuck with her.
Yeah, that was the one we showed a few screen caps ago.
But so her reaction is,
I will get vengeance on you for this.
Well, that, but more specifically, I have to act cute? Let me act like Suika.
Oh,
Melon
okay.
Girl.
Yeah, so she's trying to act like a cute
Melon Girl's the best.
But what I love about this episode, even though most of it's like kind of repetitive and mundane, is that Kohaku like sees what Amaryllis is doing and really appreciates it and starts copying it. Like, her reaction to seeing her being like a stone cold hoe is like, wow, what a superpower to have. I'm gonna do that too. And like,
so based. So
so the two of them just kind of take over. And Ginro, this is a boy who does not want to be here, but he's
the girliest looking boy that exists.
What the heck? I'm so like ready to check out, but then like it keeps drawing me back in.
It's okay, you can be ready to check out. We're almost done.
Okay.
And this is a scene where basically the long and short of it is Kohaku like she can't write because she's part of a primitive society, but she does.
None of them can write. Yeah. Ginro has a whole flashback too. So Ginro has a brother named Kinro, who's a lot more studious and better at his job than Ginro is. And so Ginro has this flashback of Kinro learning language, and initially we see like Ginro respecting Kinro and learning the language, and then Kohaku goes, "That didn't happen. What are you talking about?" And Ginro goes, "You're right. I don't know how to write anything."
So she draws some pictograms and sends it along. Pictographs, and Gen just sort of translates them based on like understanding her perspective and what things she would be able to reference in her. It's basically just like a one-on-one on how to do symbol analysis, which is kind of fun. Gen is the most literally me character in this show because this whole thing is voice manipulation, and it makes a really hot girl.
Kind of sucks that the most literally me character is in cryostasis for the rest of the show, as far as I'm concerned.
And yeah, basically the episode ends with him being like, we'll be able to revive all our friends.
No, that's the thing. Why they can do that is because Kohaku has found platinum.
Yes, and that's what their whole search is for, is platinum. All right, Dr. Stone. We usually save this for last, but since this is the filter episode, it's coming before Oshinoko. And this episode, this is unfortunate because this is the last episode of Dr. Stone this season. We have to wait till October till we get more.
Which is really, they should just have the show constantly airing. Just always
They'd have to
coming
make
out.
filler, I guess, or something. I don't know.
They do make filler.
I mean, the manga is like pretty fucking far along, I think. Yeah, we don't really come to any conclusions or any kind of closure. The main thing about this episode is Kohaku's really cute and best girl. I
mean, she learns how to make a bomb.
It was hard to be upset with, but yeah, the thrust of this episode is Kohaku shows up to a big fucking rock that's somewhere inside of it got the platinum they're looking for. So she has to figure out how to get into this rock without breaking it like haphazardly. She was sent. There's a bunch of science mumbo jumbo explaining this special acid bomb thing she uses. Whatever.
It's a silent bomb.
Yeah, it's a silent bomb.
Which basically is they drill some holes, they make plaster in the holes, and the plaster expands and breaks concrete.
I like this moment because after she does break it open, it's just like a pile of dust. And at first she's like, oh my god, it's just sand. What have I done? This is fucked. And then she's like, wait a minute. Senku's always just using like sand and shit. This is probably exactly what he needs. So she wraps it up. She like forms a pouch out of her dress. I love this so much because
it's completely impractical.
Yeah, Kohaku doesn't give a fuck about well, she's trying to make something practical out of this stupid outfit. Like, she wouldn't normally dress like this. She would have something to carry stuff around in. But, she's just like, whatever, I gotta make do. She's a perfect woman. Yeah, so most of the acquiring materials part of this episode is kind of boring. There's like a scene with Amaryllis and Ginkgo, but it's pretty much the exact same shit that was happening in the last episode. Finally, we get something at least a little bit emotional and interesting at the end of the episode because Senku's dad had spent like his entire life going out and gathering small bits of platinum from this fucking river.
I'm sorry.
Like,
I was just trying to see where Dr. Stone was right now. It's like 232 chapters in, and the first thing I see is just a big, like, full page thing going, "We're making a time machine." I was like, oh, okay, so they've gone past regular science somehow.
Okay, yeah, amazing. But yeah, the dad had spent like most of his life gathering platinum and then literally
He dies in the water.
in that fucking river that he was gathering platinum out of. And he's like, at least I fell forward
so I can
'cause
see the
space
stars
in the surface of the water. And he just dies
it's
looking
also
at space in the
it's
river.
also mentioned that this guy is not actually Senku's biological
What
father.
the fuck?
Which is strange because they have like the same weird hair thing going on.
Yeah, they both look like a broccoli.
They have the same eyes now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, they
And
look very similar.
immediately when this was revealed, you went, "Oh, so Senku's real dad is going to be a bad guy."
Yeah, like I mean, what the fuck?
Which,
Like they waited
is
until this
true.
motherfucker was dead, and the second, well, I mean, until we learned how he died, I should say. The second we learned how he died, Senku's like, by the way, he told me he was just like that. I was just like his friend's kid. I never asked, didn't really care. I always thought he was my dad, but I still call him by first name, and I felt the need to tell you this.
Which
for
is
some
funny because
reason.
a couple earlier in the episode, I was like, "Why does he just refer to his dad by his first name?"
Yeah, well, now we know.
Um,
So yeah, they really want to bring everybody back to life. We get this man service shot of like theoretically what will happen next season.
oh my god! I just noticed Francois covered up.
Yeah, it's really cute. Like they kept their modesty. Still, did Francois have any effect on your
I know,
non-binary identity?
not really. Because again, I think Francois is just a woman. Ryusui just doesn't care.
Right. It seems likely. All right, moving along.
How do you feel about the first season of We Watch Anime? What would you change? What have we done well? What have we done bad? What
We should really address that in the
next episode.
one.
I'm just throwing it out there so you
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
And
let
so
us
that
know,
you, viewers...
audience, yeah, let us know how you have felt about this first season if We Watch Anime. Less so like which episodes were good and bad. We understand. We were tired some nights. We hated anime some nights. We loved anime.
Well, that's not a
some
negative.
nights.
Anime sucks
It-
sometimes.
It does. We just want to know, like, overall, what did you think? What could be different? Yes, we know we eat into the mic a little too often.
You can say me. It's not you.
I ate a whole pizza tonight. I don't know what you're talking about.
Fair enough. Hey, whoever's editing this, can you just like make those sounds obnoxiously loud? Because I got one complaint about eating once, and I'd
And
really.
now you want to eat as loud as possible forever.
Oh yeah. Give us money. Have I mentioned that? We like
Yeah.
money. If you
Back
want
by
us to,
Patreon.
if you want us to do this more, if you really like what we're doing here, money backed by /
Let me quit my physical labor job.
That is not our link on backed by. Can you backed
backed
by
/ we dash watch dash anime.
and yeah,
And
Patreon.
patreon.com / golden witchfire.
All right, we've watched anime.
Anime
We've
forever.
talked about anime
Anime
forever.
forever.
We love you all.
Anime